Hello, and a big warm welcome to Straight4ward Science. Today we are going to look at atomic structure. This is beneficial for GCSE science for any exam board. We are going to start by looking at the atom as we know it today. In another video, we will talk about how the atom has changed over time. The atom consists of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Let's look at these in a little bit more depth. Protons have a positive charge of +1. A way to remember this is that the two P's, proton and positive, go together. Neutrons have a neutral charge or no charge. The way to remember this is that the two N's, neutrons and neutral, go together. And lastly, electrons have a negative charge of -1. A way to remember this is that the E's go together. Electrons and the E in negative. To recap, protons, neutrons and electrons are subatomic particles. Subatomic means inside the atom. Therefore, whenever you hear the word subatomic, think inside the atom. All of these subatomic particles have a mass. This is important when we look at elements in the periodic table and how it is organised, as the mass plays a major role in its organisation. Both protons and neutrons each have a mass of 1. However, electrons' mass is different. An electron's mass is very minute. We would describe it as either being very small, or some GCSE exam boards would allow it as 0. Moving on to look at the atom. In the centre of our atom is a nucleus. Please do not confuse this with the nucleus we have encountered in biology, as this nucleus today doesn't contain DNA. A nucleus in chemistry contains protons and neutrons. In this diagram, I have represented the protons in red and the neutrons in blue. Outside the nucleus are ring-like structures which hold the electrons. These are called shells or orbitals. These orbit or move round the nucleus. The electrons can be represented by either a cross or a dot. In this diagram, I have represented them by black crosses. The number of electrons should always be equal to the number of protons in a normal atom. In this example, I have used 18 protons, so therefore we need 18 electrons. I have not included the number of neutrons in my nucleus on my diagram to simplify things, but this atom that I'm drawing would represent argon. Within my first shell, I have drawn 2 electrons, as the maximum capacity for the first shell is 2. The second and third shells can both hold 8 electrons each. Notice how I draw the electrons in the shells. Electrons don't like to be in pairs unless they absolutely have to. So the first 4 electrons in my second shell are all separate. Then, after these have taken their space, they begin to pair. If a question asks for a written representation of the electron configuration for this element, it would be written as 2,8,8. Just to recap, the first shell holds 2 electrons, the second shell holds 8 electrons, and the third shell holds 8 electrons. Today's diagram is the most complex diagram you will ever get asked to draw in a GCSE exam, as we only ask students to draw up to 18 electrons. So if you've got this, you'll be fine. Thank you ever so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.